After binging all of The Boys in less than a week, there's just so much on my mind that I've gotta discuss. And no, I'm not talking about the cool action scenes or the stuff that matters. We don't do that around here. We've got freakier matters to discuss. So with that being said, let's get into it. First off, we need to discuss one of the trilogies of all time. And I'm not just talking about any old trilogy like GGG vs Canelo or the Dark Knight trilogy, for example. I'm talking about MM versus the stretchy cockman. Yeah, you heard me. The Boys is kind of like My Hero Academia in that sense. Your parents inject you with compound V and then just hope for the best. Maybe your kid will gain the power to shoot lasers from his eyes, or in this case, increase the size of his cock at will. In any case, Grandma Agnes Fury needed the multicultural Avengers to bring back the head of one of the people on the bingo list. And the target just happened to be in a lab filled with other super abled individuals. But one thing led to another, and all of a sudden the soups broke free and all hell was let loose. As well as Cockman's edging streak, because what he did next was strangle MM from literally nowhere, as if his name's Randy Keith Orton. But he didn't just strangle MM, he strangled him with his PP. Now that's one way to introduce a character. It's also insane how MM almost got offed via PP strangulation. But anyways, after all this mess had been cooked up, a vote decided to send some damage control over, and it comes in the form of racism incarnate. I'm about to go off on a side tangent now, and this will probably happen a lot in this video, but I have a lot of points I need to get across, and this next point is Stormfront. This character is one of a kind, truly. Believe it or not, she's been alive since the World Wars and basically got married off to their world's version of Hitler. Her physical appearance doesn't age either, so she's pushing 90 to be honest, and the amount of hate crimes she has committed on people of color is too much to keep track of. For example, she killed Kimiko's brother while spamming racial slurs at him, killed off this grandma's son in the summer of 65 while she was on neighborhood watch. And because of the generational kill streak, Stormfront went on pre-time skip. They had to rebrand her after a hiatus to Stormfront since all the Zoomers wouldn't recognize her. It doesn't really even stop there. She's the reason that A-Train couldn't get back into the 7 during season 2. At the end of the day, she's just an old head who was hating on young talent. So it's a relief that Ryan lasered her limbs off. If not, then Homelander and Stormfront could have groomed Lil Bro into being a part of the strongest racist power couple in history. Ryan would be like all, "Hey papa, where are all the slaves? I'm going to head out to go buy some with my pocket money." Look at how normal and well behaved our super Nazi is. She is. So it's an even bigger relief that Stormfront offed herself, because my eyes were burning up every time she turned on suction mode for insecure Superman. But enough about the Nazi. How does one get themselves invited into the 71st annual Herogasm? Because that's where MM's second fatal encounter with PP Man takes place. Now you may be wondering, why are the Boys and Soldier Boy pulling up to this glorified Diddy party? And it's a bit complicated, but the simplified version is they're helping Soldier Boy kill off all the members of his old squad, and some of the members are hosting this Diddy party. So when MM knocks on the door, I guess Cockman must have sensed his aura, because this is where their second fatal encounter took place, and that's great and all, but this is a great time to segue into another point I want to address. How does the Boys manage to progressively get more and more freaky by the season? Like, it was bad enough with season 3 episode 6, but when you get to season 4, and I mean season 4 episode 6 specifically, that's when you realize maybe the producers were just easing us in for the real Diddy party. At least Herogasm had Huey, Butcher and Soldier Boy vs Homelander, but season 4 episode 6 just belongs on the hub. So in honor of P. Diddy getting arrested, let's discuss the Boys universe's very own Diddy, the world's greatest detective and number 2 hero, Tech Knight. Now if you guys watched Gen V before season 4, you're already low-key familiar with his game. After all, this guy doesn't even have the decency to stop thrusting himself into any visible hole he saw when he was in public, because he couldn't help himself. But in season 4, you get to see what this guy is like for real, behind closed doors. Well, I mean behind the Batcave. No, I mean behind the tech cave. Because this isn't just any old secret hideout. It's Guna Cave Central, out there, and Tech Knight's the president. Now let's back up to before the greeting of Huey for some much needed context. So the boys needed to gather some intel, and what better way to get intel than to go into a Tech Night party. And a little birdie let it slip that Webshot got invited because Tech Night was scouting for a new sidekick. So after Webshot craps himself with web fluid from the anxiety of getting jumped, Huey wears his costume and makes an appearance at the party undercover. To be honest, I wish we could have seen Webshot in a fight because his power just seems like a straight up disability. And he somehow is a well-known superhero, but every time he's on screen all I see is agony and despair. But anyways, Tech Knight leads an innocent Huey to Guna Central for the initiation, where him and Ashley bond over torturing Huey. This reminds me of my childhood. But yeah, they done did every kinky trick in the Diddy playbook on my boy, and he must have went through at least half of Diddy's rations on Huey. We're talking 500 bottles of baby oil minimum here. So thankfully the gang saves Huey before Freak Knight drills a hole into Huey to diddle him. But it's just crazy that this episode is even real, and it makes me frightened for what's to come in season 5. I can see it right now. Oi Huey, go in that building for me, will ya? You'll be fine. And then the building in question will just be this. But yeah, moving on to the third encounter. At this point all the boys were brutally fucked, so they had to split up, and that didn't stop the other heroes from capturing the gang one by one. You had some Gen V people kidnapping Frenchie and Kimiko, for example. But for MM, it seems like a certain someone had him on the reserve list yet again. Because the moment bro went to the toilets, the PP man's viper striked with precise timing that can only be achieved through muscle memory. If we got to see any more of that scene, then I can only imagine it would mirror the Mr. Jellybean scene in Rick and Morty word for word, bar for bar. And yeah, that's about all I can say for now for the boys. I have way more to cover, but I'm already dreading editing this video as it is. It's just a bit crazy to think that if I had a nickel for every time MM got compound assaulted by a man with a stretchy cock, then I'd have 3 nickels, which isn't much, but it's weird that it happened 3 times. And with all that being said, like, subscribe and comment anything, literally anything, please. This video cannot flop. And as always, see you all in the next video.